we walk away right now and join forces with Donald Trump.
What's happening? Everybody stay calm.
What's the procedure, everyone? What's the procedure?
Stay calm!
If you believe the polling over the last several weeks, you'd have to say that RFK Jr.'s campaign is basically falling apart. Of course, the bad news is they seem to be breaking for Kamala Harris, okay? And that, of course, is not necessarily good news. However, what is good news is today you can see that Robert Kennedy Jr.'s running mate, Nicole Shanahan, actually comes out and says they may suspend their campaign and could actually endorse Donald Trump and join forces with him. So this is a really interesting, crazy story that could be a big game changer if you believe the current polling. So let's go ahead first and check out this crazy story about Nicole discussing this whole possibility. Here we go.
I did not put in tens of millions of dollars to be a spoiler candidate. I put in tens of $millions to win, to fix this country, to do the right thing. I will say that Clear Choice, this PAC, this DNC aligned PAC that was created specifically to take us out, has spent millions of dollars to take us out. They have unfortunately turned us into a spoiler. And we don't want to be a spoiler. We wanted to win. We wanted a fair shot. The DNC made that impossible for us. They have banned us, shadow banned us, kept us off stages, manipulated polls, used lawfare against us, sued us in every possible state. They've even planted insiders into our campaign to disrupt it and to create actual legal issues for us. I mean, the extent by which the sabotage they've unleashed upon us, it's mind-blowing. I mean, we're still learning new ways that they have sabotaged us. I really wanted a fair shot at this election, and I believed in the America that a little girl pledged an allegiance to. And that is not where we are today. And it's not because of the Republican Party taking us out. It is exclusively because of the Democratic Party taking us out. And I am so disappointed I ever helped them. I am so disappointed that I helped Chuck Schumer in that Georgia runoff secure a majority. It's probably one of the biggest mistakes of my life. And it's really devastating.
So does this sound familiar to anyone? Locking up people in legal entanglements, trying to kick people off of ballots? It's the exact same playbook that the Democrats ran against Donald Trump. Of course, the difference is it did not work against Donald Trump. And of course, at this point in time, the Democrats were really worried because Trump was beating Biden so soundly that having a spoiler like RFK Jr. come in would really hurt Biden's chances of being elected. And as she just says there, yeah, she didn't want to be a spoiler. She actually wanted to be a legitimate candidate. And at one point, it looked like RFK Jr. and Nicole Shanahan might have been, right? They had about 15% of the vote. However, of course, the Democrats, not wanting to even contemplate that possibility, destroyed them, all right? They used lawfare tactics, etc., everything we already know about. But of course, what's the result of all this? Hopefully a big, huge backfire in the faces of the Democrat Party.
So to answer your question, we are not spoilers. That was never our motivation. We really wanted a fair shot. I think had we had a fair shot, we would have won. I still would love to see in the last 80 days of this election some miracle play out where we get a chance to debate. I don't think they're going to let us. You know, given this, I think we are taking a very serious look at making sure that the people that have corrupted our fair and free democracy do not end up in office in November. It's hard. I mean, it's really hard, Tom, to say these words because it's also acknowledging how bad things are.
Yeah, it's hard to hear the words. Do you guys see any path to victory at this point?
I mean, technically, if we can stay on the ballots, you know, we've qualified for all the ballots now, which is like an enormous feat. Like you don't understand. The system was designed to, after Ross Perot, to keep this from ever happening again, and we accomplished it. So technically, we could win. We could absolutely win still. The problem is if you censor a candidate, as we've been censored, people don't get a chance to even hear us. So, there's two options that we're looking at. And one is staying in, forming that new party, but we run the risk of a Kamala Harris and Waltz presidency, because we draw votes from Trump, or we draw somehow more votes from Trump, or we walk away right now and join forces with Donald Trump, and we walk away from that and we explain to our base why we're making this decision. Not easy.
Clearly.
Yeah, not an easy decision.
So here we have a lady who is incredibly successful and yet is completely disenfranchised with the system that she grew up admiring, the system she thought she could get a fair shake in, and a system that the Democrats have completely perverted to stop someone else from coming in. Of course, what we're talking about is not just Kamala Harris and her winning the nomination without winning a single primary, but of course, her not being allowed to compete on a level playing field as a third-party candidate. So what are they going to do? Stick with their current campaign and possibly help Kamala Harris win? Or are they going to stop their campaign and join forces with Donald Trump, which of course would be amazing. Now, I don't particularly care for RFK Jr. on several points. However, I love him on free speech. I love him on the vaccine skepticism. So while I have no illusions that RFK Jr. is anything other than a person on the left, he's at least not someone who's on the crazy far left socialist communist spectrum, okay? He's more like possibly an Elon Musk, a centrist moderate leftist, okay? Not someone I'd want to elect to power, of course, but at least someone who's willing to come out and stand up for free speech and freedom in general. So of course, what I want to see now is CNN breaking this whole news story, supposedly. Let's check this out.
Have you considered him for a role in the administration, and what role would that be?
Well, we haven't, but I would love that endorsement because I've always liked him.
Would you also consider putting him in the administration?
You're asking me a very unusual question. I haven't been asked that question yet. I like him a lot. I respect him a lot. I probably would if something like that would happen.
Explain, Alex Seitzwald, who's joining us now here on set, why this is even coming up as a possibility. RFK Jr.'s running mate basically floated this today and said, and I'm paraphrasing here, if the goods are good enough, right, if there's a deal that's good enough, RFK Jr. might consider dropping out and backing Mr. Trump.
Yeah, these are some truly remarkable comments from Nicole Shanahan on this podcast, where she basically acknowledged that they have no real path to victory at this point. She spoke in past tense about the campaign, said they do not want to help Kamala Harris get elected in any way, and they would work with Donald Trump.
So there it is. Donald Trump on the record basically saying that, yes, if he gets an endorsement, he could offer RFK Jr. a cabinet position. Now, I'd love to see RFK Jr. as maybe some type of overseer of Big Pharma. That would be truly epic. And of course, Donald Trump would be totally willing to do something like that, because what does he do? He makes deals, right? He wants to succeed. He wants to win bigly. And so what is he going to do? Bring in those other candidates by offering them something they may actually be very, very interested in, and I would love to see that. So what type of swing could we possibly be seeing if RFK Jr. did in fact commit to supporting Donald Trump? Well, let's check these numbers out from CNN.
And, you know, we spoke about this earlier. 2 weeks ago, we noted that RFK Jr.'s support was falling through the floor. And the question is, who are his voters going to? So these are people who supported RFK Jr. in July and now back. Look at this. 39% of those who backed RFK Jr. in July are now backing Kamala Harris, way more than the 20% who are backing Donald Trump. Now, he's still getting 39%. But if you're only holding on to 2/5 of your support from July, you're falling to the floor, which RFK Jr. is doing. But the key nugget here is Kamala Harris is picking up a slew of those voters who are disaffected, who said they were going to vote for third party. They're no longer voting for third party. By a 2-to-1 margin, they're voting for, say they're going to vote for Kamala Harris over Donald Trump. And that is a big reason why in that Pew Research Center poll that came out yesterday, Harris was up by 1 as opposed to Joe Biden being down by 4. back in the month of July.
So once again, caveat, if you believe the current poll data coming out from places like Pew Research, etc., then you can see here that Harris, of course, has close to 40% of the support pulled away from RFK Jr. So who's the remaining 40% still supporting Kennedy, and of course the 20% going for Trump, right? Chances are they're not going to break for Harris. They're not going to break for the Democrats, especially if RFK comes out and endorses Donald Trump. So the chances are the bulk of that remaining 40% would go to Donald Trump. So essentially, you have a 60-40 split of all Kennedy supporters, and that would take Donald Trump outside the margin of error of several of these leftist polls. Once again, caveat, if you believe them. I personally think that Kamala Harris is not nearly as popular as the media is trying to make her. And of course, we have polls from CNBC, from Fox, from Trafalgar, from Rasmussen, from The Economist, all to basically back up that point. So as usual, thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, and stay safe out there, people, because they're coming after you.